Welcome once again to another session of Let's Study and Read the Scriptures. Today I'm going to be running a replay from a previous recording of last year titled Israel and the Covenant. I already did it once on YouTube. I'm going to do it again for the sake if anybody want to jump in the chat, whatever. And so that's the reason why I'm going to run it twice. I'm also going to do going to run some replays tomorrow morning as well. What I'm doing, I'm setting myself up for the topics that I'm going to, that I want to bring out, discussing the nations as described in Genesis 10. And so this pre, what I would say, pre education study, this pre-study, I would call it that, is going to help for when I bring out that topic. So it won't be like completely strange when I drop some of these on you. It would be very much so understood. Okay. And so without further ado, let's get it started. Okay, this is Israel and the Covenant. Again, this was pre-recorded last year, documented Americans' history and the Atlantic slave trade. Also, Israel and the Covenant. This is all blended together. Okay, so hopefully you enjoy and see you at the end. Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is Older Producer with the light report. Now let's see if my screen will freeze today. Let's see if we're gonna have that morning freeze. Oh, how about that? We set a new trend on the light report this morning. We didn't have a freezing screen. How about that? All right. And so I want to welcome you once again to the light report. You know what I'm saying? Where we review the things that we spoke of the night before, which was last night. And let's see, last night topic was it was Israel and the covenants. And so went back into the very first covenant. Went back to the very first covenant, and we talked about some of the parameters surrounding the first covenant. First of all, let me say this: peace and grace to everyone. Peace and grace. I think I said good morning, but I didn't say peace and grace. I always like to say peace and grace to the people who have peace in them to accept the truth. And so to you again, I say peace and grace. So we talked about the covenants last night and how the old covenant is still in effect. You know what I'm saying? That is not done away with. You know what I'm saying? Like according to some of the writings, whose writings we're talking about. Where they said the law is done away with and all that in the the Pauline epistles, as they call them. But, right here, right away, we see that the law is not done away with, even by the statement, you know what I'm saying? The Messiah says, whoever breaks one of the least of these commandments and shall teach men so, he should be called least in the kingdom. Now, I would like to get some clarification on that word least in the kingdom. But from what I've come to understand, whoever teach men these things, man, that's like the bad thing to do. You know what I'm saying? It's like one of the worst things to do is to teach people to err. That's like number one in the estimation of God. You know what I'm saying? As far as violations, which is the worst one. Teaching people the wrong thing is the number one. The second is adultery. But teaching people to err is the number one thing God dislikes. You know what I'm saying? So someone who's teaching that, and he ain't just like a least in the kingdom, that's a big deal. You know what I'm saying? In the judgment, from what I understand, they go get it the worst, the teachers who taught people to err. So those who are teaching, that the laws are done away with, they're teaching error. They're teaching you to err. And so they're going to have it the worst in the kingdom. You know what I'm saying? That's the way it is. So I wouldn't, man, I'm telling you, that's a scary thing. You know what I'm saying? That's a scary thing. So a lot of people, people getting away with a lot of things right now. You know what I'm saying? But in that judgment, in that judgment, that just goes to show you how merciful the God is, because nothing is happening to people right now. You know what I'm saying? And so they believe that since nothing is happening to people right now, that is what they're teaching is okay. Just like some people teaching the doctrine of Balaam, who taught the children of Israel to sin, to eat things sacrificed to idols. You know what I'm saying? Some people teaching that doctrine. That's another doctrine that's in error. You know what I'm saying? But the point of it is that we should remember, all in all, to keep God's law. That's part of the covenant that we made. It is eternal. That's what we talked about last night. One of the key points that I like to bring back up is, part of that agreement is serve the Most High or serve your enemies, right? Because that's what he said. Either you're going to serve the Most High or you're going to serve your enemies. That's the choice that you got right there. Let's check that out. That was in Deuteronomy 28 and 46, I believe. Deuteronomy 28 and 46. Oh, I think it was 48. Yeah. Deuteronomy 28 and 48. It says, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord. Let's start at 47. It says, because thou servest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart for the abundance of all things, therefore thou shalt serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. So that's the choice. That was the choice. You know what I'm saying? Serve the Most High God with joyfulness and gladness. I mean, when you think about it, why wouldn't you? He's the provider. He's the provider even of people that don't have nothing. I mean, you know what I'm saying? The people who were sent to destroy us, he still provide for them too. Everything comes, all these things, comes from the Most High. Benefit the things that are beneficial for life. You know what I'm saying? So why wouldn't we serve him in joyfulness and gladness? Since he's the one providing us everything, you know what I'm saying? He created us, created the cells in our bodies. You know what I'm saying? Created the blood cells in our bodies. Why wouldn't we serve him with joy and gladness? You know what I'm saying? So we gotta look at that thing, So so it's not a lot of time for people to consider what they're gonna do. You know what I'm saying? So let me send a shout out to my son, one of my sons who came to the right conclusion of who he is. Give him a round of applause. Hallelujah. You know what I'm saying? Now it's about picking up the righteous way. You know what I'm saying? To write that reason of your inheritance. You know what I mean? So a portion of good doctrine is knowing the tradition of the righteous ones in ancient times, right? And so that's who we look to. We look to them for information on how to live righteous. You know what I'm saying? Because they were the chosen vessels. And I know they wrote a lot of false things about them, but we don't believe it. You know what I'm saying? For instance, when they say like Noah was a drunk, don't believe that. You know what I'm saying? Or that Jacob had 4 wives at the same time and 2 of them sisters. Stuff like that is like they kind of skewered the stories. You know what I mean? So we don't attribute anything wicked to the righteous men that were chosen by the Most High. You know what I mean? So we gotta look over those false things. You know what I'm saying? Said about the righteous vessels of God, right? So, but for us, we got to choose the righteous way. You know what I'm saying? Choose the righteous way. You know what I'm saying? Because our life would be hanging in the balance. Moses declared in Deuteronomy 28:68. He says, Deuteronomy 28:66. He says, um, was that Deuteronomy 28:66 or no? It's Deuteronomy 30:19. You know what I'm saying? Where he told us to choose what we're going to do, choose life or death. You know what I'm saying? 30:19, it says, I call heaven and earth to record this day against you that I have set before you life and death, blessings and cursings. Therefore choose life, that both thou and thy seed may live. Right? So that's what it's all about, choosing life. You know what I'm saying? And so proving that we was the people that these things did happen to us. I tried to show, bring forth a few things last night to show that we fit those signs and wonders, right? I won't call them curses. I'm gonna call them signs and wonders, because God never cursed anybody. He cursed to be, people were paying the price for their own behaviors. You know what I'm saying? But he didn't curse anybody, right? So let's look into some of the evidence. You know what I'm saying? I tried to bring forth some of it last night, but let's bring forth some more, right? All right, so let's go here. All right, let's see. Okay, let's look at this right here, because right, I was saying that how we was shipped all over, right? Shipped all over from the continent of Africa, right, to all these places, right? We was shipped all over to all these places here: Europe, North America, South America from Africa. All right, now let's look at, to show you that this is Africa that we've been sent from. Let's look at the bigger picture of Africa. All right, so that's a major, big picture of Africa. And that part where the hook is, that's where the, most of the children of Israel were taken from. Slave coast. That's what they called it, slave coast, the Gold Coast, and the countries on that coast. Right. Let's look at a closer look of that region. Let's take a closer look at that region. Right. Okay. So this is close. We've taken a closer look at that region. It's called Negro Land. You see, in that area, it was called Negro Land. All right. So that's that coast of Africa, right? That's that hook right there. So when I'm showing this, I want you to know that this is Africa that we're looking at. You know what I'm saying? The continent of Africa. All right. So in that little part up top, where the hook is, you know what I'm saying? That part was called Negro Land. Okay, so this map is from I think it's 1718. One of the cartographers drew this map up for all the people that was in these different regions, right? So he's going on being on the ground of who these people were when he went over there to check them out. All right, so let's take a closer look at this. Let's take a closer look at this map. 1 second here. Let's see if we can take a closer look at this map. Hold on a second. I'm gonna try to bring it up. Where's the display capture at? Oh, here we go. All right, here we go. Let's take a closer look at this map. Right. Wait a minute. I gotta pull it up first. Right? Go back to right, because I'm going to show you the who was on that in that area, right? And then we're going to look at some when the first blacks, the Israelites that was transported over here, right? We're going to take a look at all that, right? To draw the parallel, what the books were written about. You know what I'm saying? The people that was going into the slave trade. We're going to take a look at that. Give me a hot second here. All right, so you see this is close up on the map, Negro Land of Africa. That's what the area that they was drawing slaves from. You see that it was called Negro Land. Now let's zoom in. Okay, so now you can see my mouse, right? So we're going to zoom in a particular area. Right, make sure you can see this. Now, you see where my mouse is at, right? Where the hand is at. Right there, you got the Gold Coast, you got the Slave Coast, right? So they was taking gold, they was taking slaves. But look what the slave coast right above it is Kingdom of Judah. Now, when that's in clear, that's a K and that's an M. on the clear, when it's more clear, it's a K and the M. So Kingdom of Judah. That's the F right there. Though it looks a little blurry, but that's what it is. Kingdom of Judah. KMOF Judah. You can't get no more clearer than that. You know what I'm saying? You can't get no more clearer than that. Kingdom of Judah. Like on my end, I can see the F. It's clear, but you know what I'm saying? On my monitor, it looks a little blurry there. I don't know why. But as you can see, like up there, it got the Kingdom of Gago. But right here, it is the Kingdom of Judah. Look, above that, up top, it was the Kingdom of who something, to but something like that. And the whole region is called Negro Land. Right up there, you got the Kingdom of the Ummah. You know what I'm saying? So these are different different people, different tribes, right? You got Sierra Leone over there. You got grain over here. That's what they was getting grain from, right? And they call this the Gold Coast. So this little region right here, it's the Gold Coast, right? Kingdom of right there. That one is the Kingdom of Akania, I guess, or Inter. But right here, the Slave Coast is called Kingdom of Judah or Weda. So, right, it's the same map right there on the hook of Africa. So let's go back to the other maps. Right? Let's go back to the other map. So right there, where they was taking everybody from, shipping them all over the place to all these other countries. You know what I'm saying? All these trades were being made for slaves. You know what I'm saying? For people from the Kingdom of Judah. You know what I'm saying? Now, I don't think that's the original place of Kingdom of Judah, but that's where they came to when they, over time they migrated there from the original Kingdom of Israel in Jerusalem. 70 AD, they left Jerusalem being persecuted by the Romans. You know what I'm saying? When they destroyed the temple. You know what I'm saying? And they fought that war. And so they went into the continent of Africa. You can read about that in Timbuktu. Okay. And so let's look at this. We're doing some investigation of who fit the signs and the wonders of Deuteronomy in 28. Right. So now when we read Deuteronomy 28, and we'll read that again. Deuteronomy 28, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, that thou shalt see it no more again, and there shall you to be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Now we got to prove that the children that we fit that these places. At least one of the places we was born to is Egypt again. Egypt stands for what? The house of bondage. But I want to prove that America is a second output of Egypt altogether, right? Well, I'm going to prove that, right? But let me see. Where am I going next? Let's go here. Because I want to prove that thing. Let's go there. So what I'm about to pull up right here. This is an article. Africa Source. They putting down some history that Egypt was referred to as Temeri. So we're gonna read a little bit of that right quick, right? So let's read it right quick. It says, Black Kemet. Black is ancient Kemet, Egypt, right? Because we know that Ham, his real name is Khem, Khem, right? So Khem is the black, it's the black people, the Khas. Black is ancient Kemet, Egypt. Several so-called distinguished authors have proposed that the Egyptians called their country KMT, or Kemet, which means black, after the color of the soil. Okay. And this twisted lie is not supported by any analysis of the ancient Egyptian language. There is nothing in the grammar suggesting that the soil or the earth had any connection with the use of the word Kemet. The only references to the soil in the ancient Egypt were the names Temeri and Temeri. Ta meaning earth, land, etc. Right? So this reason is the misinformation. Is either a delusion urged in some to misappropriate the history of the beautiful brown people of Africa, otherwise a wicked desire to obscure the patrimony, legacy of the ancient the ancient Africans of ancient Egypt, right? So it says ancient Egypt referred to the name Temeri, right? Temeri. Now, this is not the only place that I referenced this source from. I mean, this is like something I just pulled up on the fly right quick so I can have something to pull up, because I actually read this in some college professors in some books or whatever, that when they was dealing with the history of Egypt, that this is very prominent, you know, that they called the land Temeri. It's even on some of the older maps too. But the books or whatever, I didn't want to use the books because when they was dealing with the history of Egypt, they was naming all these false gods, and that was just too much. I didn't want to bring that forward like that, you know what I'm saying? Because I didn't want to bring that to nobody's attention, you know. I didn't want that to be the focus or whatever, you know. But the focus definitely should be that they refer to their name as Temeri. Okay, so the people that was first found here in America, when they came over, they were called Tamericans. Okay, they were called Tamericans. So I gotta find that picture with I got a couple of pictures that show that the people that were found here were called Tamericans. America didn't just come up with that name. The name was already here. You know what I'm saying? That name was already here, attached to the people already here. Straight up. You know, nobody named America. It was already here. And it came from the people that was already here, which I told you came from Egypt. So this really is the second Egypt. You know what I'm saying? Being named after this. Okay, so let me see where I want to go. I want to pull up the picture where it says Temeri. All right, this is an edited version into the study session, seeing that I have found the Tamericans, the map with Tamericans on it being named as Tamericans, spelled Tamerikans, Tamericans. And this was map created by a German, right? So let's look at and it's something they have. It looks like some of their home fronts pointed out. We're gonna take a look at all of that. All right, so let's look at some more Black Tamericans. These are some from Mississippi. Okay, and These are some from Virginia, right here, Virginia. And you can tell these are not, you know, Mexican looking blacks, but a different phenotype of blacks, right? I got some real pictures of them too, with, you know, black with straight hair, all right? And they don't look like Mexicans. All right, so let's do some close-ups on those maps, okay? So let's get it. All right, so this is the map of the Americans. All right, as you can see, we got a more close-up view of the map. And this is their name, Tamericans. Tamerakans, Florida, right? So these are the people of Florida, you know. All right, so let's scroll out a little bit. See, this is the map of Florida. I know it's different. They got these little red marks in certain places. I wonder, was that signifying as their different ports or headquarters or something like that that they had stationed there? I don't know, but what I do know is that the people that they came, when the foreigners came to this country, there already were people here named Tamericans. You can clearly see these are two white men and these are two black men. So you clearly see that they are white men and clearly see that these are black men, the Tamericans, right? And so I'm going to prove that the name Temeri is the name of Egypt, is another name for Egypt. So these people that came over here were Egyptians, and that's who they were. They were Egyptians. And the history goes that they came over here with the Phoenicians, who were the most skilled in selling the seas. And so they came over here under the finance of the Pharaoh who united all the Egypts, the lower and the upper Egypt. And he financed these trips, and I guess some of them decided to stay. You know what I'm saying? And where they were from Temeri, which is another name of Egypt. So this is the second Egypt. Prophecy has been fulfilled. But let's look at this thing. Let's look at it all. Okay. So we can see that. We see that one there. Right. And here's the other one that I was trying to show. These are Mississippi. It says engraved for Banks, new system of geography published by Royal Authority. It says, as men and women of the Chippewas to the eastward of the Mississippi in North America. So these were in Mississippi, right? You read that down below. These were in Mississippi, okay. And this is an image from 1970 of an indigenous American. This is from 1790. 1790 is the year that they drew this picture. Completely black. Doesn't look Mexican at all. Spanish in any way. So let's continue. This is Virginia area. Okay. Let's do a close-up on that. Right. See, it says right here, Virginia. Right. Said parties Australies, right? So they parties Australia Orientalists, International Regionalists, new description. There's a new description of the people of Virginia. You know what I'm saying? They think they're, I don't know what they meant by partis australis. I'm trying to figure that out. Florida partis. I don't know. They said maybe they think they're part Australian and part Florida. You know, there were black people in Australia too. The indigenous people of Australia are completely black, but with the straight hair, like this woman has right here. I don't know if there's a woman or a man, but either way, both the men and the women, the black men and women, had straight hair. I got pictures of them too. So there's a different phenotype. And then the Negroes, they don't have the same phenotype as far as, you know, the hair type and all that stuff, right? So it says up here, Malaria Germanica communication. So the Germans drew this map up too, right? Completely depicting them as black people. Let's look at some more. Right, here goes another one, right? This really shows it right here. It says this is New Belgium, map from New Belgium, right? Let's read what it says below. You can see it says New Belgium over here to the right of the screen, right? Down below it says title, Recent Editus Totius Novi Belgium. So New Belgium in America. So these are the Belgians right here doing trade. And they were saying that these people were offering gifts to the gods or something, like paying tribute or whatever. But let's read what it says. It says, in America, Septentrionale City de la Nation, I don't know what that's. Map maker Matthias Suter Augsburg, 1735. So that's the year he drew this map, 1735. But it says the map is based on Jansen's map of 1651. Right? So the original of this map is in 1651. So this is what the people in America looked like in 1651. Right? And if you see, you can tell, right? You see on this side right here, this says this is Virginia. All right. You see that over there, VIRGINENIA, right? Virginia Park, so Virginia land. All right. And so if you could see the people, how they, you know, the brothers, how they dress, they got on the white. Now, it was a certain type of people that dressed like that. I don't know if y'all could remember. They depicted all the time in movies, whatever, but with the white cloth, you know what I'm saying, around the waist down to their knees. You know what I'm saying? This was a usual apparel of the Egyptians, right? If you look at the Egyptians, old Egyptian tombs, stuff like that, this was what their dress was. You know, no shirt on, no top on, really, and just the bottom, you know, covering like that. You know what I'm saying? That was their normal dress, right? And so, again, this map is based on Jansen's map of 1651, redone in 1735. This is how the original black people look. Look what they got, froze and everything. You know what I'm saying? So those, you could tell those were the Egyptians. Now the ones with the straight hair, I believe, were the Phoenicians. You know what I'm saying? Let's look at some more. I'm gonna scroll this out. All right. So we can see that this is America. You can see that up top. You know what I'm saying? All right. You want to freeze that, take a picture of it, you know, screenshot it or whatever. It's all good. All right. So here's another one of North and South America. As you can see below, you got black people down there. You got black people up top in North America doing business with the white people there. You can see that there. This is a really old map right here. You can barely see the writings on this one. But as you can see, these were black people, obviously, right? Very dark people. You can see them all, even the little men's over there, right? Very black people, very dark black people. You can see that up top as well. And then you go to the white people over there to the left. And that up top too. You know what I'm saying? But got the dude bowing down to him. I don't think he did all that, but you know, that's how they like to draw their maps, you know, like people worshiping them. Crazy. But here's something on this map that if you notice to the right of the screen, that the ocean to the right of South America is called Ocean Ethiopius. Oceanus Aethiopicus, right? You can see that over there. You see that in a lot of older maps that ocean was called the Ethiopian Ocean. All right, we're going to see that on a couple other maps too, right? But easily you can see there was black people depicted, and it was already named America. So no white people gave this place the name America. They got it for the people who was already here. All right, and it says this is a new map. This is a new map of America of the West Indies. You can see this is black people, but this one is kind of blurry. You know, the West Indies, you know, that's Jamaica and all that, right? Let's see what we got. Okay, we've seen that on Florida already. All right. Virginia. Okay, 1790 image of indigenous American, Mississippi Indians, right? Who's this? This is New Mexico. New Mexico. You see it says Nova Hispania. So this is New Mexico. New Mexico. See, there's black people there, and you could clearly see that's a white man. Compared to them, it's black. So there wasn't white people there in New Mexico. There were black people. In fact, I read a book. And they were questioning the Mexicans. You know, where did they come from, and was anybody here when they got here? And they was like, yeah, you know, the black people was there first. They were already there, but they welcomed them and everything, so it was all good. I gotta find what book I read that in, but yeah, so the Mexicans were not here first. They came here after these ancient Egyptian and Phoenicians were here. So I got that in one of the books. I gotta find it. You know, I told you I be having this stuff, but I gotta remember because I haven't looked over this stuff in like, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 years, about 2 or 3 years. So I've recently been more or less dealing with doctrine, but this is history. You know what I'm saying? And seeing as how they covered it all up, this is a good time to bring it out. Right, here's Peru. Here's Peru. Peru, old map of Peru. As you can see how they depicted Peru with black people, and they're going to Moors right there. You look, we're going to read a little bit how the Moors were also a part of, you know, taken as slaves in different parts of the Americas. You know what I'm saying? And these indigenous blacks, they were killed off, basically slaughtered. They could not handle the workload, so most of them were killed, almost leaving the countries desolate. In the video, I got some books. I'm gonna bring that out. And here's South America, another one of South America. And look what it says. It says Mardi, Ethiopia. So South America is on the other side of the Ethiopian Ocean. As you can see, they are very dark people. Let's do a close up on that. See, Mardi, Ethiopia. All right. Oceanus Aethiopus. And this is obviously South America. You can see that clearly. Right? Clearly some black people, right? So in the ancient times, it was very clear who were the people over here in these countries, that they were black people. You know what I'm saying? There were black people over here called Tamaricans. Okay, so let's look at that again. Keep that fresh in your mind. Tamaricans. Now, I'm about to pull up some books before I let you go back to your study. I had to deviate from the study, but it's all good. You know what I'm saying? But it's a learning lesson, a history lesson, a real history lesson, right? And we can see Tamaricans. Now, I'm going to prove that Tamari means Egypt. It was another name for Egypt. Tamari was another name for Egypt. Ka represents the family that they're from. And they're from the family of Ham. So that's what you got, Khan. Now, it could be spelled K-H-A. You know what I'm saying? Khans, right? The Comedics. So Tamaricans, right? So let me show you that Tamari was another name for Egypt, and you would understand that these were descendants of Egyptians. This is the second outpost of the Egyptians. Let's get that. Let's get that right quick. Let's see. Okay, so let's get it. All right. Let's start here, right? Let's start here, right? So this is a book titled The Egypt of the Past. It was written in 1882. This is an ancient book. I mean, ancient. It's at least, let me do some math. 1882, so it's about 150 years old. Yeah, something like that, right? According to my math, about 150 years old. All right, so this is what they said about Egypt. Let's read it. Go down. Okay, right here. This is what I want. Hopefully you can read it. If not, let me blow this up just a little bit more. Big letters, just in case your mobile screen is a little small. I want you to be able to see this. Okay. So it reads, according to Aulus Gellius Diodorus, Egypt was named Aria. The Egyptian later Air, is the name of the river Hebrew Iyah. How about that? Aria is the land of the river, possibly with the further meaning of the pure, as Ia means to wash, whiten, purify. Another name of Egypt is, guess what? Tamari, right? Now, this part right here where it says tie is to drop, heap, deposit, type, or whatever, that's something they're guessing. People in Africa don't say that the tie means that. Tie means the land. Now, the Hebrews, you know what I'm saying, the people of Hebrew origin, they have the tie meaning to something else. I'm going to explain that in a hot second, right? But we see here, Egypt is also named as Tamari. Let's get another resource. Let's get another source. This is called the Book of the Beginnings. Okay, it was written in by Gerald Massey in 1881. Right, it's written in 1881. So let's get that. Let's see. Let's go to page 495. Right, and blow that up. Okay, so in this book he's quoting one of the pharaohs, what he had wrote, right? And so this is what he had to say. He says, let me start up a little bit. The king of Upper and Lower Egypt, the king of the Upper and Lower Country, Merenptah Hotephera, beloved of this guy. It says, then enter his palace hall, crowned and in state to view the spoils. He rejoices greatly. He distributes the prisoners among the temples. He declares that this guy caused him to be born, that he might become the sole lord of Kemi. And they really thought there was some guys for real. He said he gives praise to this guy for a strong scimitar wielded against the Nimbo barbarians, over whom Set had secured to him power and victory. So did I vanquish the Libyans. He says, I slaughtered them mercilessly, making a spoil of the country. I made Temeri, in quotation, northern Egypt, passable and navigable as I wished. Right? So there two sources. You know what I'm saying? I made Temeri, in quotation, northern Egypt, passable and navigable as I wished. Quotation has lower Egypt. Reference that go to the Zia. This is the Zondervan. I re-edited it. This is an older version from that is not available anymore on the market. All right, and so you'd be hard pressed to try to find it. So like in the new versions, I don't know if it has I don't know if it has this in it. Just like Negro is, when they was using the term, Ham represents the black people except for the Negro. It used to be in one of the versions of the Zondervan. It's not in there no more. It's not in this version, but this version does have that Egypt was named Temeri. All right, so let's take a look at that. All right, so it says the names of Egypt. The ancient Egyptians had several terms for their homeland. Kemet, the black land, as opposed to the desert, the red land. Tawi, the two lands, Upper and Lower Egypt, and Temeri, a term of uncertain meaning. They don't know what it means, but the people know it. The people from there, the people in Africa know what it means. It means the land of I forgot what Mary Poster had stood for. I gotta find it again. I think I got it in this video, what I just read. But in certain dialects, the ta means father, like tata in Kosa. It means father. So when you really look at the meaning of this word Temeri, it means the land of the father Mary. Right? Now, who is Mary? Mary was one of the Egyptian pharaoh that united both the northern and southern Egyptians. Now, of course, Modern historians, they give him the name of Marie. Narmer is just one name, Narmer. Narmer. But the people of Africa, with some historian elements to him, they call him Nameri, Nameri. And so when you look at it like that, it is the land of the Pharaoh of Egypt, which was Nameri, right? The father. You know what I'm saying? And there's some other African countries out there. Their names have been changed, but on ancient maps, you can see their names. Like part of Africa was named Tusosa. So the father of that name was Susa. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, the Tata in certain Bantu dialect means father. So the father of that land is Mary. Now, some historians say Mary is some god or whatever, a false god or whatever. But we know the history of how these gods come to be. They normally are people who have died, you know what I'm saying, and they've been raised to the status of a god, you know what I'm saying? So it still could very well mean the same person, talk about the same thing, because that's where all the myths of gods come from, people who have passed away, and then they've just elevated them to the level of a god, which is not real. Nobody can be a god. Once they're dead, they have nothing more to do with this world. But you know, that's the mind of the idolaters. That America was named after Egypt. That was the point that I wanted to get across. We can see this here. This is the Zondervan encyclopedia, whose is a legitimate book. It's not internet conspiracy writing, as you know, they always say something that they don't understand or don't know about. It must be a conspiracy. But we see here, this is a legitimate Zondervan encyclopedia is a legitimate source. You know what I'm saying? And these other books that were written in the 1800s, that's where you find a lot of the good stuff. You know what I'm saying? Nothing modern, because they wanted to change a lot of stuff, hide a lot of the history. That's why it's really important to teach your children, because now they have it whereas they're teaching children how to fact check information that they get on the internet. You know what I'm saying? Basically, they basically saying like, you know, do it our way. You know what I'm saying? They're probably telling them go to the fact checking sites, and the fact checking sites don't be knowing jack dooley squat, or either that they're going to lie and say it's not true. So you got to teach your children to have their own mind, even if they don't find what they're looking for. Keep searching, because now they're going to block all this information, like this stuff of the maps of the black people that was in America. You can't hardly find any of those maps now. A few years ago, you could do all it was there, but now they drowned it. You can't find it. You know what I'm saying? But I got a lot of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? I just ain't got it filed in order. But my point is made that America is the second Egypt. The people that was here after Egypt, the Tamaricans, right? The people that was here were named after their home country, Tamaricans. Read it. Evidence on who the people. The Bible says it was going to be shipped to Egypt again. We just read Egypt is also named Tamari. Said the people was going to go to Egypt again with ships. What more evidence do you Okay. All right. Back again. And this time, I wanted to show you what the real Tamericans look like. All right. And so we can see them here. Let me zoom this in. All right. So clearly you can see these are black people, right? By the facial structure, and all that. You know what I'm saying? They don't look like the Mexicans. They don't look like African American. They got bone straight hair. This is the Blackfoot tribe. This is the Blackfoot tribe, and so that's why I say I believe believe these were Phoenicians because of the hair type. You know what I'm saying? But they do have some one with hair like wool, but they're not pictured. They were just only drawn. So as you can see here, you got the straight hair. You know what I'm saying? These black people, you could tell these are black people. That's not because it's in black and white. And I'm gonna show you that too. So they're in their whole traditional garb. Of course, they're not looking happy because of the circumstances, I would guess. Now look here at this one, right? When we look at this one right here, this is an Apache woman, right? One is black and one is light skin. So we can see there's a difference between the two. I know they'd be trying to say because the pictures are in black and white that's really, them right here. You know what I'm saying? It's just that the black and white is making a difference. But you can tell the clothes. Look at the clothes. You know what I'm saying? The clothes is like is white or beige or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Look at the color of the wheat. You know what I'm saying? The fields and all that. But that skin tone, you can't do anything about that, right? That's a black woman. But she got the straight hair, and that is not weave. That is her hair. That is her hair type. But you can see the difference between her and the one sitting next to her. You see what I'm saying? Okay, so let's look some more. Let me see what else I got here. Check these these guys out right here, right? Total straight hair, black men with the straight hair. I guess they got a little modernized here on this one, but they don't look like Mexicans. They don't look like us who are named African Americans. Maybe just a little, because you can tell maybe some of them may have mixed in with some of our people. Right, this is an actual Egyptian pharaoh with the nose still on there, right? Got that black nose. Just had to toss that one in there. Finally got one with the real nose on it, and then guess what? His nose look like ours. All right. So what I wanted to show is that the garb that they have on in this picture right here, the white garbs that they got in this picture right here, just like the one they have in Egypt. Right. So I wanted to show that right quick. So let's go to that. See, look, check. This is in the Egyptians' tombs. And you see the white garbs that they got on, right? it's just like what they got on in this picture. You see what I'm saying? Now this is in Virginia. It was joined in 1735, but it's based on the map that was in 1651. But check out the garbs, right? The white garbs, the white lower garbs, right there on the men. Okay, so I wanted to show that, right? That their garbs are just like the ones in the Egyptian tomb, showing that, you know what I'm saying, somebody was trying to let us know that them was Egyptians. Somebody was trying to tell us, you know what I'm saying? You can see it also here in another tomb, right? The garbs that they have on, the little white robes. So, but now check it out. Here goes some more black Indians. And you can tell they black too. Look at the face. You can hardly see their face, right? You know, it's a little blurry, but you can tell they black. Cause look at the horse. The horse is white. You know what I'm saying? So them ain't no light-skinned dudes. Them black brothers, black men, right? In their full regalia. All right. Here goes some more. Black men. Look, there's a gang of them. Whole gang of them. Black Indians. Don't look nothing like the Mexicans. You know what I'm saying? It's a total different people. These people were like totally killed off. The black men of these particular people, black with the straight hair, they was mostly killed off. All right, so let me open up my other folder. Let's see. Let me open up that one right there. All right, so I got a whole gang of them. They took pictures of these. They took pictures of the Tamaricans, different tribes and stuff like that. All right. So let me take that up there. All right. So his name was called Bitterman, chief of the Chippewas. Right, chief of Chief Pillager, band of the Chippewas. All right. Let's see. Check out this guy right here. It's completely black. They don't look Mexican. This is what I'm saying. They don't look Mexican. They had their own phenotype. You know what I'm saying? What I mean, facial features. Trying to sound professional, phenotype. But they had their own type facial feature. They had their own type hair. Now this one, he looked like he might have been lighter skinned. You know what I'm saying? He looked like he might have been light skinned, but he still don't look Mexican. You know what I mean? He don't. He still look like one. He still look like one of them. He don't look Mexican, right? So let's continue. And he don't look like African Americans. You know what I'm saying? Straight hair. You know, brothers got kinky hair. All right? It's the real deal. Look at this brother right here. Arrow walking. Mean mug. Yo, that's a black guy. Arrow walking. Look at that mean mug he got on his face. Look at the nose. Right? Different type of pheno. And look at these guys right here. Black man. That's a little blurry. Even threw in this is just sidetrack right here, but these are Chinese women, or Aboriginal Chinese. But look at the face. It's the original Chinese. Look at the eyes. These are black people. It ain't because it ain't because it's a black and white shot. I mean, because look at the other areas that are whiter, you know what I'm saying, or beige, or even the wood in the back. You know what I'm saying? It's got a lot of complexion, but that skin is black. These are black people. Look at that one over there. She look like one of the sisters over here, a little bit. Look at the eyes, right? So something happened. These look like they might have some skin problems. I don't know if that's the sun or something, but they look like they got some skin problems on their legs. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that was when they started turning. I don't know. Maybe that's the sun. Guessing there. But now check this out, right? So they want you to believe that the original Native American looked like this woman right here to your right. She don't look nothing like the woman on the left. She don't look nothing like the woman on the left. Only thing they got in common is the straight hair. But other words than that, they don't really look at the nose. Hers is more defined. Now the one on the left, the older woman, you know, that's a real Native American. This one over here, this is she's Spanish. You know what I'm saying? She's Spanish. You know, maybe they came in and took part of the culture or whatever. But this is the original right here on the left side, the older woman over here. But they want you to think that she went from this to this. Unbelievable. Unbelievable, right? But this is what they do to history. So you gotta learn it on your own, right? Right? Named Medicine, Pipe, and Food Dog from the Arapahoe tribe, 1873. 1873. All right. Clearly, you know what I'm saying, these guys are black. They're not white, they're not Mexican. Look at the face. Of course, they're not happy. And they had their land stolen from them. You know what I mean? They're pretty upset, you know? I wouldn't be smiling either. You know what I'm saying? But check out the bone straight hair. Okay. And they not naked, like they always show them. They got the clothes on, wrapped in blankets, in their traditional garbs. So it says it's supposed to be Cherokee Indians, but this is a different tribe. I don't know if I don't know if there's a particular tribe within Cherokee or I don't know. This is how they recorded as because yes, the government officials that were taking pictures of the natives. Right? Look at this guy right here. It's black man. And they don't look Mexican. That's what I'm saying. They be trying to say like the Mexicans were the Chinese looking Orientals were the official Native Americans, man. You gotta tell that somebody that don't know. A lot of people don't know. So these people right here, they was slaughtered. They was killed off. I seen pictures. I seen some pictures from the Library of Congress where they had piles of them dead, laid up in a pile with, white men standing around with guns. You know what I'm saying? I wish I had the photos. I don't know what I do. I don't know what I did with those photos, yo. Cause I tried to take some pictures of them. This is she's supposed to be from the Lakota. She's a Lakota chief. Clearly a black woman. Now my great grandmother, whom I met, said she was Indian, but she also said they made her pick cotton. You know what I'm saying? But obviously she got with a brother because her children hair didn't come out straight like this. Her children hair, my great aunts and my grandmother, they had black people hair, the woolly hair. So apparently she got with some black people, some brothers. She got with a brother. Right. Check out this guy. He look like he got maybe just a little bit of Asiatic features up there. Look at this one. She looks a little mixed, but she's supposed to be Native American. But she looks a little mixed there herself. Look at this one, Low Dog. Look at his hair, bone straight. Right? And he's black. He's a black guy. You know what I'm saying? He's a different type. And I know I've seen some pictures of the Phoenicians, some Canaanites in East Africa with straight hair like that too. So look at this, bone straight hair, but they black. Now this picture is really interesting right here. Right. You got a brother right there. You see he's a brother. You see the one in the center. You can see he's a brother. You see that bone straight hair. Right. The one standing up, you can see that's a brother. The one next to him is a brother. Then now you got other ones, more light skinned, wearing the head garb or whatever. So I don't know where they came from. But this is like I don't know. I don't know where it came from. But yeah. So look at that brother right there with the bone straight hair. The one behind him. Right, look at this. Look at this one right here. Right? The bone straight hair, black as can be. You know what I'm saying? It ain't got nothing to do with the black and white photos. It ain't got nothing to do with the black and white photos. I say that again. Look at this. Look at this one. Look at this guy right here. Bone straight hair. You can't tell me that's a black man? You want to tell me that's a Mexican? Man, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me, man. What happened to all these people? These are different people. These is not Mexicans. These ain't the modern Native Americans. They're not them. These people were massacred off. These were the original inhabitants of the Americas. Called themselves Tamericans. They had different tribes. This is who they are. You're going to tell me, man, they're going to try to tell me that the Native Americans were Oriental. Like, everybody's supposed to buy that. You know what I'm saying? This is who they were. These were the real deal. This is the stuff they don't. That's why they don't want to teach real American history, because then they gotta ask us questions. What happened to these guys? What happened to them? I can tell you what happened to them. They got slaughtered, killed off. I mean, they tried to, I guess, try to kill every last single one of them. My goodness. I mean, I guess they kept some of the women, but these guys right here, they took these brothers out. You know what I'm saying? And I mean by the thousands. By the thousands. You don't see no brothers like this with straight hair, natural, that black, that jet black. This is a different type of people, yo. These ain't African Americans with the woolly hair, the kinky hair. This is different people, but these were the people that were here. That's why you see in some of that the picture in the maps where they drew them with straight hair. Well, these are them. But where they at? And they took them jokers out, yo. They took them jokers out. That's why they ain't so happy. I wouldn't be happy either. I ain't even mad at them. There goes some more. Look. I don't see near picture where they're smiling and having a good time, man. They like, yo. Look at these brothers. Look at their face, yo. The original Tamericans. Look at the one back there in the corner. Look at the one back there in the corner. And look at the white guy next to him. You could tell so they wasn't, modern day Native Americans. They look like white people. I mean, they had that same skin complexion. Look at this. They don't have the same skin complexion. It's a different people, yo. Not the same. What happened to these people? What happened to these people, yo? Look at this woman right here. Black right here. Look at the nose. Look at the nose. It's very pronounced. You know what I'm saying? Just like all the other pictures we just got through looking at. Right? Look at the bone straight hair. You could tell. Look at the child. The child's hair is like that from her youth. You know what I'm saying? Now she look like she may have a little Mexicanish. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? She don't look quite like the older ones. Maybe she was the first generation of the mixing. I don't know. Right, but she, the older one, she looked 100% thorough. 100% one of them. You know what I'm saying? Bone straight hair. No perm. This is not perm, yo. It ain't a weave. This ain't real hair. All right. Here go another Indian. You know what I'm saying? They look different. They look a little bit like us, but their lips is not as big. You know what I'm saying? They don't have the full lips. You know, their lips are kind of thin, but ain't as thin as Caucasians. Right? Look at his bone straight hair. Does not look like a Mexican. These are 100%. So you can tell these are not black people that integrated into the, Mexican, into so-called Indian villages. These are original. These are the originals, but they are no more in existence. You see what I'm saying? That's how you know God preserved us. Through all we went through, God preserved us, but everybody hadn't got preserved from these massacres. Basically, that's what it was. Massacres, yo. Look at this guy. Look at this one right here. Bone straight, black hair, black man. I don't know if that's his name, Big Nose, but he got a nose on him. That's how the Indians, that's how they look. That's how their facial features look. You know what I'm saying? So, but he's 100% black. There's no question about that. You know what I'm saying? But he's not a Negro. You can tell that by the hair type. He's a different type of black man. You know what I'm saying? You can tell. This looked like this was more modern. This is like more modern, but these are supposed to be native young ladies. You know what I mean? No weave. Look at the hair though. I guess this was when they was trying to integrate the native, the real Native Americans. I told you, they let the women live, but most of the men got killed off. You know what I'm saying? But look at the hair. Look how long their hair is. Oh my goodness. That is not weave. Their hair is just naturally straight like that. You know what I mean? That is not weave. Right? This is a different type of people. That's all. They got different type of hair. Look at her face. She pissed off. I'd be pissed off too. Ain't gonna lie. I'd be pissed off too. They came slaughtering people's the way they did. She's Blackfoot Indian. All right. Look, she ready to grab that sword for real. Look, is that a guy? That might be a guy. I don't know. Kind of rough in the face. They call him Low Dog. I don't know if their real names are dog. Did the Indians really call themselves dogs like that? The natives? I don't know. That's a question to be asked for sure. You know what I'm saying? But look at this. Look at the hair. Bone straight. Look at the nose. Now, he might have been a little lighter. I don't know, but you can still tell that he's one of them. You know what I'm saying? From their family lineage. You could tell by his facial type. Right? Now look at this one right here. Look at the older woman on this side. You can see she's 100% one of them. Definitely by the face. Look at the nose. It's very pronounced. They all had that same kind of forehead. You know what I'm saying? And all the pictures that I showed, they all got the same kind of forehead, straight hair. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like a short forehead, sloping a little bit. And the one on the left looks more. She looks like she could be mixed. You know what I'm saying? Maybe she's young. She looks like she can look. She looks a little Mexican, a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But not on the one on the left. Look like all the other pictures we've been looking at. All right. And they older Mexicans don't look like this on the left. They don't. This is a black woman. You know what I'm saying? So, all right, that's all I got right there for now. But I wanted to show y'all, you know, those pictures on the map when they show black people with straight hair, just in case they try to say those were the Mexicans, you know what I'm saying, the Mexican looking people, the modern day Native American. I want you to remember these images right here. These were the real deal. What happened to these guys? You know what I'm saying? Government know though. All right, now back to your regular scheduled program and study session where we're going to continue speaking on that America is Egypt and the signs of the people of Deuteronomy 28. I'll take you back. Okay, right quick, I just want to add my explanation of the Tamaricans. Just want to make sure nobody take anything personal. I don't have nothing against the Mexicans or the Spanish. I just wanted to show that there was a difference between the Negro and the people that were here, that were already here. And there was a difference between the people that was already here and the Spanish or the Mexicans. You know what I'm saying? So because I showed that difference don't mean I got nothing against you, because I don't. But I wanted to make sure distinctively to show that there was a difference, that the black people that was here were different from the Mexicans and they were different from the Spanish. All right. So they're not the same as, and they're not the same as the modern day Native Americans. Now, maybe you have a few that mixed in with the original Black Americans, but we can clearly see the big differences there and how they look. Right. So just wanted to add that portion. I want to go back to the signs. Before we do that, let's go back to the signs. Okay, so I want to read something right quick. Okay, this book is called The Annals of Literature, the Critical Review, or the Annals of Literature. Okay, volume 57. I'm gonna skip to it, but I'm gonna go down to the part where I'm trying to meet, right? It says Von Umspring des Negerhandels, right? That was some German writing. It says, or The Origin of the Negro Slave Trade by Matthias Christian Sprengel. Okay. He's a German, obviously. I used to speak German a little bit while I was over there. It says, Professor Sprengel proposes to publish a complete history of the Negro slave trade from its rise to the present time, in the present publication may be considered. Okay, it says, from its rise to the present time, and the present publication may be considered both as the introduction to and a specimen of that larger work. The scene of the slave trade extends far beyond Guinea, though that coast furnishes the Europeans with the greater number of slaves for their American and West Indian colonies. The Portuguese indeed still procured slaves from their East African settlements, especially Mozambique, and the French transport small numbers of slaves from Madagascar to the Isles de France and Bourbon. It is generally imagined that the Europeans were first who taught the Negroes this cruel branch of trade, but poor Negroes had already tasted of the hardest slavery long before the arrival of the Portuguese on their coast. No barbarous nation has ever so far forgotten the rights and dignity of human nature as these African Negroes. It says, with them, friends or foes are alike reduced to slavery whenever they have the misfortune of offending their lords. Our Negroes are born slaves of their master, by whom they are doomed to death or sale, not only for trifling offenses, but mere ill humor, and often to sell, merely to gratify their master's thirst after brandy. As far as their history can be traced, the northern neighbors of the Negroes, the Arabs in Morocco, were first who purchased slaves of the Negroes. Ever since the year of Christ, 1990, the Moroccans had extended their conquest to the northern banks of Senegal. And from that time, there were continual traces of intercourse between these two nations. And by these conquerors, the Arabic language, circumcision, the Quran, and some other rites of Mohammedanism, and even some sort of civilization, not yet entirely lost among the black tribes beyond the river of Gambia, were introduced among the Negroes. Okay, the first account of the Negro trade of the Moors in northern Africa is to be found in Nubian Grapha, page 8 of the Latin version. This trade was still carried on in the 15th century when the Portuguese began to establish new marts for the slave trade on the coast. As it appears from frequent accounts of their first navigations, even now a bartering trade of horses against men is continued between the Negroes and the Moroccans, a trade which the immense annual exportation of slaves by Europeans to America have not yet stopped. In order not to lose this branch of trade, the Moroccans sell none but stone horses to the Negroes on the Senegal. The first arrivals of the Arabs for the slaving trade were the Portuguese since 1445, whose preceding voyages were made merely in continuation of the war against the Arabs, whom King Alphonsus III had expelled from his dominion. The kidnapping pursuits of the Portuguese were favored by the papal donation of the new discovered countries to Prince Henry, who meant to improve the discovery in Africa to other purposes than merely for that. So in the meanwhile, the Portuguese were advancing nearer and nearer to the countries abounding in gold and discovered in their progress of the navigation and many useful and valuable articles of trade. That of pepper now found by them gave the first shock to the East Indian trade, till then carried on by the Venetians. In order to procure plenty of pepper, a spice which is incredible quantities, I'm going to skip down. The next paragraph. Since it has been carried on by the Europeans, this slave trade has undergone but few great changes. It is still carried on within the ancient limits along the seacoast, though it now reaches further up into the inland countries of Africa. And the same articles of trade which have already been imported by the Arabs were still eagerly sought for by the Negroes. Only the number of European traders and settlement had greatly increased, and the Portuguese had lost their monopoly on the coast. Professor Springer divides the history of the Negro trade carried on by Christians into two principal periods. The first from 1443 to 1645, and the second from 1645 to the present time. And I told you this was written in 1718, something like that, 1700, 1718, somewhere along that line. I don't remember the exact date. So he said there was two primary periods of the slave trade carried on by Christians. When you say Christians, you're talking about the Portuguese and the Spaniard who was given permission to do this thing by the Pope. Okay, that's why they call Christians under the Pope, right? And it said the first period is the time of its increase, during which not only its founders, the Portuguese, but the English, the Dutch, and the French dealt in Negro slaves, right? So all these countries participated, all these people participated in the slave trade. See, the Bible was saying we was going to all countries, right? It says, but the English, the Dutch, and the French dealt in Negro slaves, though chiefly for the use of consumption of the Spaniards, and the sugar and tobacco plantations in the Brazils. During the later period, so the first period from 1443 to 1645, said mainly was to the English, the Dutch, the French, and the Spaniards, and they mostly, sent them over to Brazil. Most of them, okay. It says during the later period, these four nations were obliged to share that trade with the Swedes, the Danes, the Brandenburgs, the North Americans, and since 1778 with the Spaniards. So this book was written later than no. It says, and since 1778 with the Spaniards. Their trade, however, still increased, not only by the Swedes and the Brandenburgers ceasing their navigations to the coast of Guinea, but from the annual demand of supply of more than 100,000 Negro recruits for their own colonies. Annually, it says, you got to look at this thing, right? It says, but from the annual demand of supply of more than 100,000 Negroes recruits for their own colonies, right? It says the author confines his relation of the first Negro trade to that carried on by the Portuguese and the Spaniards, right? So the author said the first started by the Portuguese and the Spaniards. They kicked that thing off, is what they're trying to say. Okay, it says Gonzalez was the first Portuguese who in 1442 returned with Negro slaves purchased instead of the Africans who had till then been carried off by mere violence. But soon after, the Portuguese became better acquainted with the African regions and their valuable production. Prince Harry founded the first Guinea company that settled factories in the fortress of Arguin and got the exclusive privilege of trading with Arabs. The trade soon increased. Now they trade in people. They trade in our families, our relatives. That's who they was trading. This is what they talking about. Okay, it says, and Prince Henry founded the first Guinea company that settled factories in the fortress of Arguin and got exclusive privilege of trading with the Arabs. The trade soon increased so that in 1455, not less than 700 or 800 Negro slaves were annually exported to Lisbon. Okay, at length by Portuguese in 1471. So in the early 1400, they was doing like 700 to 800 Negroes at a time. And you see how it increased over time. You know what I'm saying? Annually, it was first like 600, 700, 800. That's what they're saying in 1400. But you see, as the time went on, they went up to like 100,000 annually every year. Okay, it says at length in 1471, the Portuguese in 1471 discovered the Gold Coast. They didn't really discover it because it was already people there, you know what I'm saying? But to them, they discovered it to them, you know what I'm saying? It trips me out when they say discovered and it be like people already there. You didn't discover nothing. You know what I'm saying? You didn't discover anything. You came across someplace. You know what I'm saying? That was already discovered. There was already people living there. But I digress. That's what it wrote here. It says in 1471 discovered the Gold Coast, and ever since the intercourse between Portugal and Guinea were continued. The Portuguese endeavored to exclude other nations from Guinea, while the rest of the European navigators were, in spite of papal bulls and all the reports, industriously spread of the pretended dangers of that coast, striving to get a share of the profitable gold trade. Right? And so all the other nations, wow, all the European navigators was trying to get down with that thing. You know what I'm saying? So there was putting out false reports of the pretended dangers of that coast. So, because it was not a dangerous place, right? It says the discovery of the Gold Coast served indeed yet more to enlarge the sphere of the navigation of the Portuguese, right, than their slave trades. But it forced them also to extend themselves on the coast and to set up colonies, watch this, in Congo, Angola, and other places, which they had till then neglected. And watch this, keep up, because this is where it's trying to drive it home of how it's related to us. How it's related to us black people that came over here from Africa. You know what I'm saying? And who we are. Watch this. And it says, Prince Harry colonies were enlarged by his successors. King John II in 1492, let's watch this, expelled the Jews to the islands of St. Thomas, right? Which had been discovered in 1471, into other Portuguese settlements on the continent of Africa. And from these banished Jews, the Black Portuguese, as they are called, and the Jews in Loango, which is another country, another part of Africa, who are despised even by the very Negroes whom they are descended. I'm going to highlight that so y'all can check that out. One hot second. I'm going to highlight that part. I'm going to read it again. So the Spanish Inquisition was about, you heard it was about the Jews, but you thought it was about those white people that claim they are Jews. But we reading right here in this history of the book who they were and where they went. Come on, let's read it again. Let's read it again. All right. It says, I'm gonna start at where it says the discovery of the Gold Coast served indeed yet more to enlarge the sphere of the navigation of the Portuguese than their slave trades, but it forced them also to extend on the coast and to settle colonies in Congo, Angola, and other places which they had till then neglected. Prince Harry colonies were enlarged by his successors. King John II in 1492 expelled all the Jews to the islands of St. Thomas, right? And that's a whole nother story right there. You know what I'm saying? When King John got with Queen Elizabeth, whatever, so they all had to convert or, you know what I'm saying, be killed. And so the black Jews, as they were called, you know what I'm saying, which is the Negro, they didn't want to convert to Christianity. And so they were either being killed or they were being transported off. It was all expelled, right? It says King John II in 1492 expelled all the Jews to the islands of St. Thomas. This is the Spanish Inquisition, which had been discovered in 1471, and to other Portuguese settlements on the continent of Africa. And from these banished Jews, the Black Portuguese, as they are called, and the Jews in Loango, who are despised even by the very Negroes whom they are descended. By these colonists, St. Thomas soon became a considerable place of trade and valuable for its sugar plantations, right? right? So who they say? They say the black Jews, right? Let's read that again. I'm gonna highlight that thing again, yo. And from these banished Jews, the people that got kicked out of Portuguese, right? That King Thomas had expelled, right? From these banished Jews, the black Portuguese, as they are called, and the Jews in Luango, who are despised even by the very Negroes whom they are descended. Right? And I didn't just add that whom they are descended. That's in some other translations where it has that. This is an old book. This is like one of the more original books or whatever that they made a copy of. Right? These banished Jews, the black Portuguese as they are called, right? I'm highlighting this, but I can't type nothing in here. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like I can change this and make this up. This is an old book. I just got it in PDF form, right? Portuguese, these banished Jews, the black Portuguese that they are called, and the Jews in Luango who are despised even by the Negroes whom they are descended. All right, so I'm gonna keep reading. By these colonies, St. Thomas soon became a considerable place of trade, valuable for its sugar plantations. 30 years after their settlement, not less than 150,000 Arabs, or 30 pounds weight each of sugar, were exported. Right, so they was doing some heavy toting there. And the engines of 60 sugar works turned by slaves. These Negroes were purchased in Guinea, Congo, Mini Congo, and the colonists had plantations furnished with from 150 to 3,000 Negro slaves. Now we just read who they were. So in the beginning of the 16th century, the Spanish and the Portuguese began to transport Negroes for similar labors to the West Indies and Brazils, by which the Negro trade was rapidly increased. The Spaniards, on their first settling in the West Indies, immediately treated the natives of that part of the globe according to the Pope's instruction. Now, see that there? Everybody think the Pope, the seat of the Pope, is a righteous seat. Nah, man, they was putting down oppression. You know what I'm saying? According to the Pope's instructions. So the Pope was instructing this thing, yo. It say they divided them by families or districts amongst themselves as slaves. The poor Indians were now forced to dive for pearls, to wash gold, sand, and to work gold and silver mines for their new masters. They were often carried far from their native homes, and in short, they were so miserable, fed, and used that in a short time, these countries were entirely depopulated. That's why I was trying to tell you, Indians were mostly killed off. You know what I'm saying? The native Indians, the people that was already here in these countries in the Americas, they was mostly killed off. You know what I'm saying? We see this here. It said that in a short time, these countries were entirely depopulated. In order to supply that loss, the Spaniard carried off other Indians who were not yet subdued by stratagem or force, especially from the Lucayes Islands. The Spanish court at last prohibited those violences, but the Spaniards soon found means for evading the orders of their court. They decried the Indians in Europe as the most sanguinary race of savages. See, they invented some stuff in which Ferdinand repealed his former orders and bade them carry off these cannibals by force from their native places and to treat them and sell them as slaves. So some Indians got sold as slaves too. Right? And it said, with a great deal of pain and dangers, the Spaniards now carried away the number of laborers wanted for their exegesis. The soon found them too weak to support long and hard labor. So these Indians, they could not support long and hard labors. They wasn't like the ones that came from Africa. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't like the black Jews. Watch this. It says Bishop Lacasa is generally thought to have been the first who advised the Spaniards to import slaves from Africa in order to spare the Indians. The Indians weren't strong like the brothers. You know what I'm saying? They wanted some Negroes. You know, they wanted the Hebrews. You know what I'm saying? We known for our strength. And watch this, it said, but our author shows that before that time, Moorish and even Negro slaves were sent to America. Okay. La Casa merits consisted of saving South America from entire depopulation because the Indians, they couldn't handle it. They not like us. They couldn't deal with it. We strong. And it says, what before him had been already done by private Spanish individuals, he procured to be done by a general royal order, and he proposed Negroes instead of the few Moorish slaves who had till then been sent to America, who also deserved well of the commerce of America, by procuring by his remontrances that the Negro slave who before, like all necessaries, had been sent from Seville or other Spanish harbors, were to be directly transported from Guinea to the West Indies. And that, of course, America was more expeditiously furnished with the laborers wanted. So, and it goes on. I mean, it really goes into detail about this slave trade. You know what I'm saying? But the point that I brought up, you know what I'm saying, is that those people that was transported from Portuguese were Jews, right? Were Hebrews. There's right there. 1492 expelled the Jews to the island of St. Thomas, where had been discovered in 1491, and to other Portuguese settlements on the continent of Africa. And from these banished Jews, the black Portuguese, as they are called, and the Jews in Loango, who are despised even by the very Negroes whom they are descended. Right? So, now, we prove that. We see that this slave trade had the black Jews on them, sent everywhere. That's the proof. This is history. The critical review, the annals of literature. Okay, but we're gonna bring it home with this you know, that we was those people. Now watch this. Let's go to this article right here in USA Today. Okay, let's go to this article right here, USA Today. Okay, and this is talking about the slave trade, right? This is talking about the slave trade. And what's this? That scripture, Deuteronomy 28:68. And the Lord shall bring thee to Egypt again with ships, by the way wherever I spake to thee, that thou shalt see it no more. There you shall be sold to your enemies for bondwomen. No man shall buy you. No one gonna be able to set you free from this thing. Let's look back at that article right there. Right. This is the article I wanted to take a look at. Okay, let's go over to this, right? Because we're trying to draw a full circle. We look at evidence of who the people are. We're looking for the signs and the wonders of the people who fit these signs and wonders, right? Watch this. It says, how an accidental, this is an article on USA Today concerning the slave trade and how they was brought here to the United States, right? Hopefully it is big enough for you to read it. Let me see if I can expand the size of this screen so you won't have a hard time reading it. All right, let's see if that'll work out. I think that ought to help. What you think? Yeah? Okay. All right. So the article goes 400 years ago this summer, a few weeks and 35 miles apart, two epochal events occurred. One was the inaugural meeting of the General Assembly of the Virginia Colony, the first elective representative body of its kind in North America. The other was the first recorded arrival of enslaved Africans in mainland English America. Now watch, at the end of this article, it's going to tell you where these people came from. You know what I'm saying? That's going to draw that complete connection to the people that came from Portuguese. You know what I'm saying? That came from Africa. Watch this. It says, slavery alongside democracy, oppression amidst freedom. The contradiction would shape the nation that emerged from the Virginia colony. How and why slavery, America's original sin, came to these shores and took hold is a story of accident and coincidence. It didn't have to happen that way. It didn't have to happen the way it did. That's what the putting his personal feelings on that thing. Now, it didn't have to happen the way it did. You're right about that. Not if a 17th century Portuguese king hadn't dreamed of a trans-African empire. Right, the Portuguese. Okay, it says, if an obscure African kingdom had been more stable, if two pirate ships looking for gold hadn't, in the vastness of the Gulf of Mexico, stumbled instead on a slave ship, if the pirates hadn't sold the enslaved to settlers in the colony desperately short of labor, and the story where the enslaved people came from is one of, and the story of where the enslaved people came from is one that most Americans have never heard, that historians in recent decades have had to radically alter. So Americans don't even know where we came from. Most Americans don't know where we came from. And said even the historians in recent times have had to radically alter, you know what I'm saying, their information. This article was written in 2019, 3 years ago, right? It says, once scholars believed the first blacks to arrive in Jamestown settlement probably came from the West Indies, where they had originally come from in Africa, was anyone's guess. It says, at one time the scholars believe, I guess, the first blacks to arrive in Jamestown settlement probably came from the West Indies, where they had originally came from in Africa, was anyone's guess. So they thought they came from the West Indies, right? Which is Jamaica and all those islands over there. But they said where they originally came from in Africa, they didn't know, right? But it says 2 decades ago, a researcher found a shipping document in the Spanish National Archives that told of a raid by 2 pirate ships in July 1619 on a slave ship, the San Juan Bautista, en route to Mexico. The pirates absconded with about 60 enslaved Africans. Watch this. It says, the timing coincided with the arrival in Virginia a month later of 2 ships, the White Lion and the Treasurer, carrying the enslaved whom the pirates sold to several leading settlers. The shipping document's biggest revelation, in the San Juan Bautista's port of departure, what is today Angola. Right? The shipping document's biggest revelation was the San Juan Bautista's port of departure, where they came from, what is today Angola. Let me get that. It's like somebody trying to cut it off. Let me read that again. The timing coincided with the arrival in Virginia a month later of two ships, the White Lion and the Treasure, carrying the enslaved whom the pirates sold to several leading settlers. The shipping document's biggest revelation was the San Juan Batista's port of departure, what is today Angola. So these were the Portuguese Jews, the black Portuguese, the Negroes. You know what I'm saying? The black Jews. That got brought here to America. Right? Let's go back. Let's go back. Now y'all seen that, right? That's news. Right? Shipping document said that the port of departure was Angola. Right? So let's go back to the annals of literature. Let's go back to the annals of literature. Right here. The discovery of the Gold Coast. Let's read that again. Okay. It says, the discovery of the Gold Coast served indeed yet to enlarge the sphere of the navigation of the Portuguese than their slave trade, but it forced them also to extend themselves on the coast and to settle colonies in Congo, Angola, and other places which they had till then neglected. So the Portuguese developed colonies in Angola, and that's where they was bringing people over from Portuguese. We read that earlier, right? And then watch this. It says after they settled colonies in Congo and Angola and other places which they had neglected, it says Prince Harry colonies were enlarged by his successors. King John II in 1492 expelled all the Jews to the islands of St. Thomas, which had been discovered in 1491, and to other Portuguese settlements like what? Angola, Congo, and to other Portuguese settlements on the continent of Africa. And these banished Jews, the black Portuguese, as they also are called, and the Jews in Luango, who are despised even by the Negroes whom they are descended. Let's go back to the scriptures. Now let's go back to the scriptures. Deuteronomy 28:68, the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again, and there you should be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. We just proved they just had the Jews, the black Jews on those ships. I know my store looking crazy up here, yo. Trying to get rid of that thing. It's all right. It'll be right. It'll be all right. But those ships carry the black Jews over there, right? So looking for the signs of the people, you know what I'm saying, who fit those signs, you know what I'm saying, is definitely, it's definitely us. You know what I'm saying? Is definitely us. Now, you can't find this stuff, you know what I'm saying? Because you can put it's like just like doing detective work. You know what I'm saying? It's almost telling you, the scripture's almost telling you to do detective work. He said, these shall be a sign and a wonder. So that means you got to do some detective work to see who fit the signs and the wonders, right? I know I'm going on and on about it, but hey, it needs to be known. It needs to be understood like that, right? That's not the map. Where is that map? I got so many on here, older maps. It's like hard to find them now. but I got it on here somewhere. I believe I had it on my Facebook at one time for a good minute, but they ain't got nothing to do with right now. Like, come on with the picture already, man. Dang. Let's see. It would be so much easier if my stuff was organized, but it's not. You know what? When I find it, I'm gonna post it. I'm gonna post it on Facebook or maybe next week. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna, drop that in. But the people that were found here by it's a German map that I got. It's a German map, okay, and they were called Tamaricans. Let me see something right quick. Let me see if I can get away with it. If I get away with finding it right quick online, because it was online at one time, right? But I'm leaving this posted while I do this search, so you can see for yourself. Yeah, they did a number on that thing, boy. You can't find that thing. I gotta search my files. You know what I'm saying? I got it somewhere. My stuff ain't organized. Yeah, man, they did a number on that thing. Like, far as pulling that information up now, you can't find it. Dang, that's messed up. That's messed up, yo. But I'm gonna find it and I'm gonna post it, right? That the people whom they found here in America, who on the German drew a map, and they were called the Tamaricans. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to draw that parallel that this was the second Egypt. It was Egyptians here. You know what I'm saying? I showed you earlier that Egypt was also called Tamari. You know what I'm saying? Tamari, right? And it was a pharaoh, the first pharaoh that united all the Egypts. He the one that sponsored, you know what I'm saying, the Phoenicians to come over here, and he sent them with some troops and all that good stuff or whatever. And so you had, that first pharaoh that united Egypt, he was a Cushite. So you had some Cushites, sons of Ham. The Phoenicians, they were sons of Hams as well. So they had the expedition that came and found this place, and they made it home, obviously. You know what I'm saying? So that's where the Black Indians came from that were killed off. We just read how the Black Indians in the West Indies and South America were depopulated from slavery. So they brought over those from Africa. That's history. I didn't write this stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's history. That's why I say it's good to look in your history to know the truth. Know your truth about yourself, where you come from. American history paints a whole another image of everything. So you would never know your history if you waiting on them to tell you to you. You know what I'm saying? You never know that thing, yo. Right? And so the purpose of me showing that is to show that the covenant is forever. Signs are still on us. It's always been on us. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna call them curses because they're not curses, they signs. He never cursed anyone. We run this on ourselves by violating the covenant. You know what I'm saying? And what is the covenant? The laws of God, the 10 Commandments. It was the origin of the covenant was those 10 Commandments that he gave at the Mount. You know what I'm saying? And we have been having trouble observing them. I'm talking about as a whole, but not individually. Individually, because even the prophets had to go into some of the captivities. You know what I'm saying? And they were holy and wise, and they still went into captivity. So he's dealing with us as a nation. Now, how can we get all of us on that same page to keep God's law again? That is the challenge. But we're going to start one by one. For everyone that comes in, we're going to share the message. Each one teach one, as they used to say, or they still say. And that's what we should do. Teach all men and women that should keep the laws of God. Come back to this this covenant, this truth. You know what I'm saying? Through Jesus Christ, because he made it available. He taught things the proper way. You know what I'm saying? And even still, they tampered a little bit with that. But, through the grace of the Most High, you know what I'm saying? Even some of the things that they tamper with in that area is being revealed. You know what I'm saying? Like some people are now coming to realize that, ones that saying that the law is done away with, that's a falsehood. That's not true. You know what I'm saying? We can see all the covenants, even from the very first one that God placed on the woman. You know what I'm saying? In Genesis, when he said that in birth you should have sorrow and pain. So even that very first agreement was put on women. That's still, and that happened with Adam and Eve, the first man and woman. You know what I'm saying? So those laws are still in effect, and the things that he said with that, these things we gotta look into. We gotta look at, like, you know what I'm saying, and understand it. And once we understand this thing, you know what I'm saying, bring it home, begin to observe it. To each one, teach one. This is your history. Israel and the covenants, right? So I hope this message has been enlightening to you. You know what I'm saying? Of your history and the covenants and his existence. We've still got another covenant to come that he's going to make with Israel forever. You know what I'm saying? We read about that in what scripture was that? That next covenant is going to be forever. I think it's Jeremiah 31. I think that's it. Jeremiah 31. Let me see. But the next covenant is going to be forever, right? And he says nobody's going to have to. Oh, yeah, that's right. Jeremiah 31. He says, "Behold, the days come that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand and brought them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break, but it's still in effect, yo. Please believe it. Even though we broke it, it's still in effect." It says, "Although I was a husband to them, saith the Lord, but this shall be a covenant that I will make with the house of Israel. After those days, saith the Lord, I will put my law in their inward parts and write it in their hearts, and will be their God, and they shall be my people, and they shall teach no more every man his neighbor." Now, this is key right here to understanding the new covenant that's going to come. People think that with the birth of the Messiah, and this is what people teach with the New Testament teaching, that because of Christ came, there's no need for anybody to teach anybody because Jesus is the new covenant, right? But he says if that was the case, if that was the case, right? Let's look at it like this. If that was the case, then why is people still teaching people? What's the use of having a preacher? You know what I'm saying? What was the use of the apostles going around spreading the message of the Messiah and teaching them the proper way to observe the law that they had learned from the Messiah? You know what I'm saying? If that was the case, see, that's the teachings of the one that's misleading people, saying that with the new covenant already came, so now you ain't got to teach nobody. We all under grace. You know what I'm saying? Don't see repentance already in your heart, and these people don't know nothing about what they should be doing. You know what I'm saying? Jeremiah 31:34, it says, "And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, Know the Lord, for they shall all know me, from the least of them unto the greatest of them, saith the Lord, for I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sins no more." Right? So that's a thing that is to come. You know, right now we still got angels intercessing for us in heaven that intercess for the righteous. You know what I'm saying? When we make mistakes, when we're in error. You know what I'm saying? We got the Messiah intercessing for us in heaven. You know what I'm saying? That's why we still pray and ask him for forgiveness for our thoughts and things of that nature. And we're still teaching people. We still people need to know what they should be observing because they don't know. And if we don't get taught the right way, we won't know. So that new covenant ain't talking about when Jesus came. It's talking about something to come. Or else the apostles would not have to go around teaching people. And that's exactly what the apostles did. They went around teaching, you know what I'm saying, how to observe the law properly because it was taught wrong, right? That's the way it is. But we looking forward to that new covenant with the Messiah, you know what I'm saying, in the Most High, you know, who's going to rule over all. That's just the way it is, the proper understanding. True teachings, you know what I'm saying, given by the Messiah to his apostles. We are those people of the covenant. And he says he's going to make that covenant again with these same people. You know what I'm saying? So we're not done away with. He ain't like he forgot about us. He don't care about us. We just had to suffer. Hebrews 12. Glad I remember that. You know what I'm saying? Hebrews 12. I almost forgot about that, yo. Because this is key to understanding too. Because some people, you know, they kind of hold a chip on the shoulder because of the things that they went through, and they don't believe that. And they don't believe that, you know, that we the people, you know what I'm saying? Because they don't believe the Bible said if God really loves us, we wouldn't have went through all this things of that nature. This is the kind of things that they say, right? And God didn't do any of these things to us. He did it to ourselves. We did it to ourselves, our ancestors. But let me read this right quick. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Hebrews 12:8. It says, "But if ye," no, let's go to 7. Let's go to 12 and 7. "If ye endure chastening, God dealeth with you as sons. For what son is he whom the Father chasteneth not?" Right? It says, "If you endure chastening, God dealeth with you as sons. For what son is he whom the Father chasteneth? But if ye be without chastisement, whereof all are partakers, then you are bastards, and not sons." Right? Furthermore, we have had our fathers of the flesh which corrected us, and we gave them reverence. Should we not much rather be in subjection unto Father of spirits and live? Okay, so that's the end of that recording that I did last year, titled that was titled what did I call that? Israel and the Covenant. Okay, so that's Israel and the Covenant, and it was blended with a little American history to make a, you know what I'm saying, to make a point concerning the prophecies. All right, and so uh, that is that on that, and so I think I'm done with the replays for today, and I had to stream it twice for the sake of my website. You know what I'm saying? Because well, I have my reasons. Um, and also for for the point, this lesson, this material I'm bringing forward. So when I go through some of the translations from a Hebrew perspective, uh, you know, hopefully it'll bring you close. I know it's a lot of talking. Maybe you can watch it in sections or whatever. But I'm gonna do some more replays tomorrow of some different stuff that I did last year.